Okay.
All right, I am ready when you are.
Good evening and welcome to the August 13th, 2025 meeting of the Henrietta Town Board. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Page,
Here.
Councilmember Belanca,
Here.
Councilmember Barley,
Here.
Councilmember Stafford,
Here.
Supervisor Schultz.
Here. We'll begin the meeting with a silent prayer followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
Mr. Supervisor, I'd like to make a motion to pass the, excuse me, to pass the minutes of the July 23rd, 2025 meeting.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember Page,
Aye.
Councilmember Belanca,
Abstain.
Councilmember Barley,
Aye.
Councilmember Stafford,
Aye.
Supervisor Schultz.
Aye. Oh, you're still, yeah. Mine's still, oh, mine might have finished moving.
Yeah.
Fellow board members, I have resolution 14-282, 2025. Whereas childhood cancer continues to take a horrible toll on our community and the country at large and continues to be the leading cause of death for children, with approximately 15,780 children being diagnosed with cancer across the country, including 63 children in the greater Rochester area in 2024. And whereas major advances in treatment has seen that 85% of children with cancer now survive 5 years and more, which is a significant increase since the 1970s, when the 5-year survival rate was about 58%. But even with those advances, it still means that tragically 1 child in 6 will not survive their cancer, including 9 area children who suffered a relapse and 13 sweet souls in our community who lost the battle this past year. 1 child dying is too many. And whereas the town wishes to support efforts by Cure Childhood Cancer Association and others to bring awareness to this dreaded affliction, to let parents and children facing this disease know they are not alone, and to encourage research and funding to help fight this disease. Therefore, be it resolved that the Henrietta Town Board declares September as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month in the town of Henrietta, in the hopes of helping parents and children facing this disease find some comfort from and with others who are facing the same challenges, and to call for increased funding and research towards ending or at least reducing the death toll from this dreaded affliction. Be it further resolved that the Henrietta Town Board will be adding golden ribbons and awareness messages to their digital signage at town facilities, and encourages anyone able to do so to change their exterior lights to gold, tie gold bows around your campus, and or include awareness messages on campus signage during the month, or at least during the week of September 21st through September 27th, as part of the Go Gold campaign to show support for children battling cancer.
Second.
I think the resolution pretty much says it all. I can't imagine what it would be like to lose a child. Any other comments?
I remember us doing this last year. It's a great thing to do, and
because cancer affects us all.
And do we have individuals here from here? Great. I just realized we never prepared the
Yeah.
it's been a crazy week. I'm going to mention that, and I don't know, Becky, if you'd be able to work a miracle. But I just realized we never printed the resolution into the blue folder for us to sign.
I'm sure.
Craig's gonna go help with that effort. Do you wish to say anything?
Just,
Come up to the mic, please, and just introduce yourself.
I just want to thank Henrietta for recognizing childhood cancer, and my involvement is, I was a pediatric oncology nurse for 30 years and have been retired, and have unfortunately attended more funerals than I would like to mention. And I have been involved with Cure as a volunteer, and I just appreciate, because so many, it means a lot to the families that it's recognized, and the gold ribbons are just like really important for the families to see them. And I know I saw a lot of families last year commenting about the digital side, so I just want to thank Henrietta.
And thank you for what you've done over the years.
Thanks for your
For your
service.
service.
And hearing no further comments, please call the roll.
Councilmember Page,
Aye.
Councilmember Belanca,
Aye.
Councilmember Barley,
Aye.
Councilmember Stafford,
Aye.
Supervisor Schultz.
Aye. So we'll see if we can get that made up, and then we'll sign it and present it. Next up, we have public hearing for special use permit application number 2025-023, Alicia Phillips, 20 Academy Drive, to have more than 3 dogs. Is Alicia present? Is Alicia online?
Yes, I'm on Zoom.
All right. Could you talk to us about your request?
Well, I have 4 dogs and I'm requesting a special use permit. I myself have 3 dogs. My son came back home and he has his dog with him. He shouldn't be here much longer. And my oldest dog is 13. She's on her last leg. She should be put down, but selfishly, I haven't done that. But right now, that's where I am. And I see
So-
that
Go ahead.
there was a bunch of letters attached that I received earlier from people in the area because my son's dog, he got out and he attacked another dog. And we're actually going through the courts now about that. And the reason he got out is because there was a hole in the fence. There's no longer a hole in the fence. I think the town would like for me to remove the entire fence and put it back up, but it's really expensive. So we did have the holes repaired. This incident happened last year in March. Since then, we haven't had any incidents since the fence has been fixed. The dogs haven't gotten out. The dog that's a dangerous dog is ordered to always be on a leash and muzzled, and he is. So I feel like since that incident, I've done my part in making sure that my dogs aren't getting out of the fence. And like I said, once I put my 13-year-old down, I will only have 3 dogs. So then I won't need the special use permit. And then once my son moves out, I'll only have the 2 dogs. But as of right now, today, there's 4 dogs. So that's where we are right now. And I just want to be within regulations of the town.
Thank you.
Welcome.
So as I understand it, the essentially you put what I'll call chicken wire across the holes, is that correct?
No, it's actual fence. It was $200 at Home Depot. It's actual fence.
Okay, because I thought I had something from our dog control, let me see what, dog control officer.
I have the receipt. It's actual fence. And it was very expensive and it's very durable. I mean, it's not $10,000 repair my entire fence expensive,
No, I
but
understand.
it's fence. It's the same exact fence. If you called, a fence installation company, they would bring that roll of fence. It was a huge roll of
Right.
fence. And all of the spots where there were holes. And not only is it covered once, it's covered on both sides of the fence with brand new fence.
So the only issue I see is that, as I understand it, after you made some initial repairs to the fence, you were still found guilty in court under IPMC 302.7 with regards to the issue of the unsecured fencing. Hold on one second, let me just see.
Right. I wasn't found guilty. I actually pled guilty because I said from the very beginning there was a hole in the fence. That's how he got out of the fence. He got out through the hole. And I actually pled guilty on the last court date because it's been over a year that we've been going back and forth with these issues. And honestly, I'm just now getting that fence and repairing it as of our last court date. So I was guilty. After everything happened, almost
Right.
a year went by without repair because I was trying to find someone to install a new fence, and it was upwards of $20,000 because I have trees embedded in my fence, so the
Gotcha.
trees would have to be removed first. So then I went to Home Depot and we went online and I worked with some of the construction workers in my family, and they were the ones who took me to get the fence, which was a cheaper resolution, but
Right.
it also secures the dogs in. So it was over a year that it took me to do that because, I didn't know that I could get it done, at a more cost-effective price. And when I did finally realize that, it had been a year. And I pled guilty for it taking me a year to repair the fence, and also because it was a hole in the fence. That's how my dog got out. So I was guilty. So I did plead guilty.
Sure. So when I look at the picture from today for the fence, the issue I see is that new fencing isn't actually, does not appear to be secured to the existing fence.
I don't understand. It's on the fences. That's how we have them on. That's how we have it up. It's actually wired to the fence.
Okay,
It may be hard to see in the picture, but that's actually how we have it. We have it wired to the existing fence.
where I'm looking, I don't see any wiring holding it to the existing fence. Hold on.
And I wish I could see what you were looking at. I have my own picture.
Yeah, I know.
Well, but I have pneumonia. That's why I couldn't make it in today.
No, that's fine.
I didn't want to.
I'm gonna see if I can get this to our clerk to put it on there. Jamie, could you send those pictures in an email to Becky so she can pull them up on the screen?
So Mrs. Phillips, you still have a date coming forward for another court date about this incident?
Correct. The last date I had to get extra insurance for my dog just to make sure liability wise we were covered. I've done that. I had to go to the special permit meeting. So those were the last two things that I have to do. So he made the next court date after these things. Also had to get Niles chipped and neutered. And I've been in compliance with everything the judge has asked me to do.
Just to be clear for people, Niles is the name of the dangerous dog.
Correct.
And did you say you're in compliance now with everything that the? court
Yes,
ordered?
sir. Everything that the judge has asked me to do,
Not that.
is completed.
So the only place where I see some disagreement of that is with regards to the fence. Maybe what we could do is table this and have you work with our dog control officer to secure that fence.
Yes, I actually requested that. I've asked that I talk to Jamie, but I don't know. I don't think she likes me very much. She won't respond. She won't come over. When she does come over, she like hides out in the street and takes pictures. But I would love for her, as me being a resident of Henrietta, I would love for her input. But I don't feel like I have that support from her, and I don't feel like she wants to support me. But I don't know if there's anyone else besides Jamie I can work with, but I would love to get some help from someone as to what better we can do.
So,
So-
Mrs. Phillip, I guess one thing that's really disappointing to myself and the board is that it took a whole year with people being terrorized by a dog in the neighborhood for you to get serious about trying to take care of this issue and had to go to court and it's still going. I personally have 2 little dogs and sometimes they'll get crazy and run out to the street. It doesn't really matter what size they are. If they startle people and people are afraid, you have to take care of that. And some of the letters that we've received is very upsetting too. People being afraid to even come out and talk about this, isn't it? Because they're alluding that you may do something to get back at them with your pets. As dog owners, we have to take care of the dogs so they're not a nuisance to our neighbors and people who walk by. That's very important to do. As a councilman, I'm always leery about extending any permits for extra dogs. And in this incident, I'm really concerned about it because everything that I'm hearing and seeing, not just from neighbors who you may not be in agreement and get in arguments with, but just from the courts also and our dog warden. So can you respond to that?
I tell the judge all the time, I have 3 grandkids in my house right now. I don't think that my dogs are dangerous dogs. I feel like all dogs get loose, and living on this street, being here for the last 7 years, I see dogs every day loose. I have pit bulls. So I think with me being who I am and me having pit bulls, I feel like I'm automatically stereotyped against. They say they're threatened about me getting back at them. They're like the peanut gallery. I'm the one alone on this street. You have 6, 7 houses of them standing in the middle of the street, concocting plans all the time. To me, they are the ones that are threatening. I don't feel safe here. So it's funny to me that they say they don't feel safe because I am who I am and I have pit bulls. But like I said, they're the ones that's congregating. They're the ones that's making these meetings about me. They're the ones walking past my house recording. They can't be too scared of what's going on here if they're always standing in front of my house recording. And I hate when people try to play victim. It's like, not the victim. I totally understand my dogs got out, but I feel like everybody's dogs got out. The neighbors, some of the people who've written these letters, I've seen their dogs running up and down the street. I feel like people see a pit bull and they automatically feel like they're going to die. Like I said, I have 3 babies in my house right now. They ride their backs. My dogs are not dangerous. I feel like the way they react, if it was your little dogs running down the street, they probably wouldn't react like that to your little dogs. Even though 2 little dogs got out the other day and my 70-year-old father fell trying to get away from the 2 dogs. But because I have pit bulls, it's like, oh my God, they're going to kill us. And I don't think it's fair. And I think it's
let me cut you off there because a number of town board folks have pit bulls. We just had pit bulls in town hall visiting the town clerk the other day. There's a pit bull mix who is a service animal here in town hall. So this idea that there's some bias against pit bulls just does not match the facts.
No, that,
I
no,
will
I'm gonna
say,
can I cut you off.
let
Because
me
the,
finish.
no, it is. That
Let,
is a fact.
let me
Pit bulls
finish.
get a bad rep. That is a fact. Not just
Let-
my pit bulls. All pit bulls get a bad rep. And
Let me-
that is a fact.
Please let me finish. You say you don't have a dangerous dog, and yet you have a dog that attacked, and you make a distinction that it's your son's dog, but it is at your residence,
Correct.
and it's your residence. You're in control, and part of the problem that they have the fear is because you have dogs that escape regularly. As a longtime dog owner, I can tell you that I've had my dog escape twice. So I've had a total of 4 dogs now, spanning, I have to do math, almost 40 years. And there've been 2 escapes, and both of them were because my roommate left the gate open.
Right.
So this idea that all dogs escape, again, do dogs escape? Yes. The issue is what happens when those dogs escape. And one of the things that happen with pit bulls, and I have German Shepherds and Malinois, and anytime you have a dog with a larger jaw size and a stronger bite, they are more dangerous. That's a fact. It's, part of why you get some pit bulls with bad reputations is because of the owners and how they treat the dogs. I will tell you, it hurts us when a dog has to be put down because the owner maltreated that dog and that dog is now vicious. We lose sleep over it. And so, but the fact is, right, not to say a Chihuahua can't hurt, they can, but the damage I'm going to suffer from a Chihuahua bite versus the damage I'm going to suffer from a German Shepherd or a Doberman or a Pit Bull, any of the larger breed dogs with this strong jaw bite, it's a different order of magnitude. There's a reason that you have, German Shepherds and Malinois and those types of breeds used for police and military dogs. It's because of that strength. So it is a greater responsibility. To me, I always look at it, the difference is it's assault with a weapon versus assault with a dangerous weapon, right? If I let my dog out of control, you're talking to someone again who is a longtime dog owner, really a huge dog advocate, and I don't have the bias you're talking about. With that said, I understand that any of the stronger breeds, and that includes pit bulls, you have a greater responsibility because of the amount of harm that they can do if they get loose. And part of the issue, and you can talk about whether it's some grand conspiracy of your neighbors, but your neighbors talk about how you've made statements about sicking your dogs on them or other things like that. That's problematic. Now, but
you know what? I don't like that you keep saying what they're saying because I am disagreeing with that. I've never sicked my dogs on anyone. So I don't like that. They tell you something and it's automatically Bible. Another thing, my dogs didn't get out regularly, but my dogs did get out because of the hole in the fence. I have 100% admitted that. The entire 7 years that I lived here, those holes were in the fence. When I moved, they were in the fence. And okay. I just repaired the fence. And like I said, since that incident, nothing has happened and they have not been able to get out. But before that, they did get out, but it wasn't like every day. It wasn't regularly that the dogs were getting out of the house.
Okay, as of
the fence.
Today, the hole is not adequately repaired. Becky, could you bring those pictures back up?
Can she see it?
Okay, I assume you can see the screen when she shares.
Yeah,
is that correct?
I can see it.
Okay. So that's one of the patches. Again, I don't see where that is really attached. I looked at it in decent detail. You can see that there's a gap between the new fencing and the old fencing. that's
Well,
some issue.
where you don't see the new fencing, it's because the old fencing is there. You can see the new fencing because it's brand new. The
Oh,
old
I
fencing
understand it,
kind
and
of
I can
brown.
see, when I zoom in on my phone, I can see the old fencing. The issue is that you've got a gap between those. Those need to be woven together. You can get there, a spool of metal wire and literally weave those two pieces of fences together so you remove that gap.
Okay.
The other issue you've got, Becky, could you bring it? Did you get the picture that has the digging? I also should note that the poles also need to be connected.
And that's exactly what I was going to say. I can connect the poles. As of this picture, that fence is actually down into the ground with metal hooks. It's huge, 6-foot metal hooks. Each of the bottom of that fencing is into the ground, so it can't come up at the bottom. The top of the poling, yes. And that picture that you're looking at, it's literally under a big, huge bush tree.
I understand,
Yeah.
but and especially once a dog's gotten loose, they're more likely to try to get loose again.
Right. That can do better. I can have them
Right.
come back and do that, but it was just hard for us to get under there with it being summertime. In the wintertime, all of those leaves and brush and it's gone. But to get through there to the summertime to repair, it was difficult with the big branches and trees.
Sure, but
But-
you had a whole year, so that included a winter time to get that done. So my point is, as of right now, this is not sufficient to enclose that. I will note, by the way, it's not just my lack of bias. Our dog control officer owns pit bulls. So the idea that the dog control officer would be against you because you own pit bulls, that's not the case.
No, I don't think it's because I own pit bulls. I don't think she liked me as a person. She just doesn't like me. It has nothing to do with my dogs. She works there, so I know she loves animals. I'm talking about me, not the dog.
Right. If she has an issue with you, it's either because of your treatment of dogs or perhaps because you
She doesn't know how.
typically talk over us in court, talk over us here in town board meetings. You have some, I'll call it a lack of court etiquette. And when someone's in court trying to deal with that I can see why that could aggravate some individuals. So
I only talk in court when the judge asks me to talk. I don't know if you guys don't like what I say, but I only talk when I'm responding or asked to speak.
well, I've seen some to the contrary already just in this meeting. So I guess my a couple things you can do with that. You can get cutters and cut those vines away. That would enable you to attach the fence closer. There's a lot of ways to resolve that without a huge expense. That needs to be resolved.
Resolve it. I want to be in compliance. I'm not trying to be difficult. I want to resolve the fence.
Well, let's put it this way. If we were to vote right now, I suspect you would be denied. It's even distinctly possible you'll be denied even if you fix that fence. But there's no question right now, without that fence being in compliance, that I just don't see how we could issue an SUP, because it's not a safe location to have one dog, let alone 4 dogs. And especially since one of those dogs is a dangerous dog. So I guess my question is, do we want to make a motion to deny, or do we want to make a motion to table and give her essentially 3 weeks to get that fence fully in compliance? I personally, I'd love to see the fence in compliance, and if this will help get the fence in compliance, I'd love to table it and get that going.
I'll agree. Pits get bad rap sometimes, but obviously this dog had, caused severe damage to the neighbor's dog and the neighbor. severe injuries. So,
I don't think the dog actually bit the neighbor. I think that the dog was attacking their dog, and when they went in to get the fence, it
Right.
caused a fall over and get injured. Because typically if they've actually bitten a person, it's, but I could be wrong on that.
No,
that-
she didn't bite, hurt herself trying to break the dog's.
right, trying
Right.
to break it up, okay. It
So
does
you
clear
were
that up.
in Favor of tabling this? You guys?
Well, I'll put forth the motion, and then if it doesn't get voted, then it doesn't get tabled, and someone can put forth a motion to approve or deny.
Okay. But I'm
We
only.
can still have discussion.
Considering making sure that when we approve this, if we do, when the fence gets fixed, if it does, is that upon the third one.
Oh, absolutely.
that
And
there will
either
never be
passing,
more than 3,
correct,
and if there is, then I think the permit to have any of the dogs should be rescinded.
right. Well, and it would be either any of the dogs passing, or if the son moves out
Correct.
with his
We've
dog.
done that in the past.
Yeah, yeah, if we were going to approve it, it would definitely be for that. So just to resolve the issue in the short term, but like I said, I can't, I'm struggling to approve this anyway. I certainly absolutely can't approve it while that fence is in that condition.
Let me add, I would have not approved it either, but I have no problem with the tabling it as long as the fence is approved by our dog control officer. And I'll pray that that dog doesn't get out, because if that dog bites somebody else, there's going to be more than court that you're going to be dealing with.
Right. So that particular dog is, I'll call for public comment in a minute. That dog is supposed to stay on a leash. It doesn't get- No, I understand.
But we should have heard the public comments before.
Yeah, oh, I agree. That's what I'm saying. You're saying we should.
We should.
Yeah, oh, I agree. So I'm gonna now open the floor to public comment, so you raise your hand first. Yeah, actually, can we pause a second? If this is, okay, if this is interesting to you, you can stay, okay. Go ahead. I was gonna give her a chance to get out of here, but if this is interesting, then.
How do you do?
How you do? Please introduce yourself.
My name is Antonio Centurino. I live on Bailey Road. Lorraine and I have been seeing each other for over a year. She lives at 16 Academy Drive, which is right next to the house. From her house to the fence,
Please stay near the microphone, because
from her house to the fence that separates the two houses, there's 8 feet on this side and 8 feet on the other side. And there's a fence about as high as your desk there. I love animals. I got no problem with pit bulls or any kind, but all animals protect their family, from strangers or whatever. Every time I'm there, or she goes outside, she actually got put up against the fence by a couple of years ago, they got loose. And every time we're there, they want to eat me. They want to eat us. And her husband that passed a couple of years ago, they got a chain link fence. He bent all the links up. So, if they go up, they prick their paws, And there's only room in the yard for one dog, but there's 3 and they're all good size. And when I go there, I don't want to go there without my legal pistol, and I'll show you my permit. Without my legal pistol, because I've been bit when I was younger and by a shepherd, and it was bad. And I don't want to see that happen to anybody or us. But every time we're outside, they're running back and forth, want to eat us until she hears them. Then she brings them in the house. She does do that, but I don't see where more than 3. Is she going to mate them? Well, what do you need more than 3 dogs for? The house is so small and everything else, but that's not for me to decide. All I know is these dogs want to eat us. And her garden is right there. We got 4 foot of garden, 4 foot of grass, and then there's the fence. And, if you walk in the fence, they're right there. They're crazy.
So I can answer the reason for the 4 dogs right now is because that's what she has. And so then the issue you run into if denied from the disposition is to, one of those dogs has to go.
I mean, there's three all the time. And as soon as we get there and get out of the car or come out of the garage, if they're outside, boy, they're right there wanting to get us. And, you know, I don't want to get bit again,
Right.
you know? So,
Did you say bit again? You were bit?
no,
Oh,
I was bit when I was
you-
younger by a shepherd.
yeah. Gotcha.
And I don't want that feeling again,
Right.
you know, especially they don't let go.
Yep.
You know, the nature of the type of dog. And I'm not against the animals, but you need more than three big dogs in a little teeny house that's 1,000 square feet. But I don't want to get
Well,
bit. I
again-
don't want to see her get bit because
No, I understand.
no defense.
To be clear, we're not saying she can go out and get another dog. If we were to allow this, and we've done this with others, is that we're not saying she could go out and get another dog. We're saying that we're not going to make her get rid of a dog until, you know, that the sun moves out, one of the dogs dies, stuff like that. So that's what, if we were to approve it, that's what we would be saying, not go out and get another dog, saying you don't have to euthanize the 13-year-old or whatever, you know, or find a shelter for it. You know, one of the problems that I will say, if you got a 13-year-old pit, I say euthanize because of shepherd.
The 13-year-old is not a pit. Yeah, she's a husky.
Husky, okay,
Yeah.
but the mix, but the point being, you find a dog like that, you have a hard time finding somebody who will foster it, and so usually it ends up being euthanized, unfortunately.
You know, I got to carry a pistol.
Understood. Okay, thank you for your
Right.
feedback. Nope, right now we're hearing from the public.
Okay, stop.
Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else wish to speak?
Good evening. My name is Lisa Lynn Blitzer. I live at 39 Academy Drive. I've lived there since 2018. I became interested in this matter on March 16th, 2024, when one of Ms. Phillips' dogs, Niles, got out of her yard, went into the neighbor's yard at 24 Academy and attacked and bit the dog that lives there. In the process, the owner of the dog, Holly Baltich, that lives there, fell and injured her leg, which required more than one surgery and rehab. I was called down there by another neighbor shortly after this incident happened to help out. I witnessed Ms. Phillips talking with Ms. Baltich and other neighbors that witnessed the attack and subsequent injuries. Ms. Phillips showed no remorse and failed to apologize for the actions of her dog. Niles got out of the yard a second time on May 6, 2024, and ended up in the backyard at 24 Academy Drive again. I was at that house for dinner that day. I witnessed Niles charge up the back steps of the house as we looked out the door. He was aggressively barking at us while charging up the outside steps. All of the people in the house at the time were concerned for their safety. Niles got out of the yard a third time on August 10th, 2024, and attacked another dog that was walking on the street with its owner. The owner was injured as well. All of these issues were addressed to the Town of Henrietta Court by the Town of Henrietta Animal Control Office. As most of us here know tonight, Ms. Phillips' dog, Niles, has been deemed a dangerous dog by the Town of Henrietta Court. I personally have witnessed other dogs in Ms. Phillips' yard barking furiously and jumping at the fence at myself and other people walking by. Ms. Phillips' application states she currently has 4 dogs. However, I have continuously witnessed a 5th dog at this residence. Ms. Phillips told the Henrietta Town Court in June 2025 this dog's name is Cece. This dog has been seen on a frequent basis at Ms. Phillips' residence since at least June 2025. From what I have personally witnessed, I do not believe it would be a healthy or safe situation for Ms. Phillips to have more dogs at her residence. It is obvious the fence around the property cannot contain the dogs she has now. It has been brought to the attention of the Town of Henrietta Court by the Town of Henrietta Code Enforcement Department that as of June 2025, Ms. Phillips' fence is not up to New York State Code for fencing. Ms. Phillips was also fined for this reason. Also, the dogs currently residing with Ms. Phillips are left in the backyard to bark constantly at all hours of the day and night. I'm very concerned that if Ms. Phillips were allowed to have more than 3 dogs at this residence, it would create a hostile situation in the neighborhood. This is a quiet residential neighborhood, not a commercial area for someone to have more than 3 dogs or possibly open a dog kennel. The dogs that currently reside there have caused the neighborhood stress and worry because they cannot be contained in the fenced area. With regard to her yard and dogs, it is obvious Ms. Phillips only does what she has to do when the town of Henrietta Court finds her or orders her to do so. She failed to register her dogs with the town of Henrietta prior to the attack by Niles on March 13th, 2024. She only registered them once the town court told her she was in violation and fined her. Ms. Phillips has been living at the residence since 2019. By her own admission, her fence was in disrepair at the time she moved in. Now that it is 6 years later, the fence is still not up to New York State code. The town of Henrietta Court fined her for this as well in June 2025. Since the fine has been issued, there has been no attempt made to alter, repair, or replace the fence. I'm concerned for the safety of myself, my dogs, my neighbors, other pedestrians, and animals that walk by Ms. Phillips' house on a daily basis. She does not give the impression of a responsible pet owner. Many of us in the neighborhood have voiced our concerns about this issue to each other in the town of Henrietta in the past. For these reasons, I respectfully request that you deny Alicia Phillips' application for the special use permit. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Can I give you this letter?
What's that?
Can I give you this letter?
Yes,
Am I allowed to approach?
sure.
We don't bite.
Thank you.
Thank
So one of the things I'll note again, if she's denied, she still has a right to 3 dogs. So just so we're being clear here, that doesn't mean that the problem goes away. If you have a problem with one of the dogs, or you know, any of the dogs, if she gets denied here, it's not like she can no longer have dogs. She can only have 3, and so if she currently has 4, then she would have to find another home for one of the dogs. So I just want to make that clear. I did get a clarification that there was a second bite, and in that case, a person was bitten. Anyone else wish to speak on this? Coming up.
My name is Pat Burnett at 59 Academy Drive. I am very concerned about this dog. Only because in May, my nephew's 6-year-old pit bull attacked him brutally and he died. And then this dog has already been out and bitten some people and pets. And I think that something else should be done with this dog. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't know that we have an authority to do something with the dog itself. Other than, like I said, we can basically say you have to get down to 3 dogs. So just to be clear on that, there were state charges, as I understand it, there were state charges against the dog that bit others, but that's currently playing out in court. So it's the court who will deal with the disposition of that specific dog.
Good.
Anyone else?
Steve?
Go ahead.
If we deny this, is she still required to fix the fence?
Oh, yeah. Yep. No,
Because
regardless,
I wasn't sure if she got rid of Niles, the dog who went.
he still has to fix the fence because again, that's a requirement for dog ownership. In terms of you have to have, so whether it's fence, whether it's invisible fence, whether it has to be a secure enclosure per New York Ag and Markets law. Do I have that correct, Amy? Don't respond yet. Okay, so that is correct. Yeah. So any dog, you know, under New York Ag and Markets has to be in a secure enclosure. Or if you're not in a secure enclosure, that would be on a leash.
Or
Right. Anyone else wish to speak?
He raised his hand.
Just want to say,
Please wait till you're up at the microphone. We do verbatim minutes, so they have to be able to hear you.
I just want to say, all we're trying to do is protect ourselves before it happens. We have nothing against the dogs or the lady or nothing.
Right.
But we're immediately next door, and try to work in your garden or cut your grass. It's all, I mean,
No, I understand.
okay.
I
Thank you.
also will note that,
Thank
you know, we're a nation of laws, and, you know, we have to follow some of the stuff. So like I said, some of this, whether we do or don't issue the SUP is totally within our domain, but in terms of disposition of the dogs, that's right now, like I said, that's working its way through courts.
Thank you.
Did we want to take a quick moment to I don't know in terms of yeah, I'm not, hold on a second, let me just check. Yeah, so I'm just getting a bunch of stuff from our dog control officer. I'll just talk about in terms of, I was just gonna see, but I don't think there's any grounds upon which to switch to executive temporarily while we discuss this.
I don't think we need to. Do we need to? Yeah.
I don't know that we do or don't. I just, it was a thought, but in terms of, you know, I guess one of the questions I have then, Jamie, if you have an ability to get on and speak, I'd like to understand if this is denied, then how is that resolved? What happens then with the additional dogs?
I have someone I think might be Jamie. I'm going to allow them to talk in case it's Jamie.
Or maybe Jamie, if
Can
can
you hear me?
us? Yep, we can hear you now.
So what was the question? I'm sorry.
The question is, if we deny this today, then what happens? What's basically what happens? Does she pick one of the dogs? Does she send I just don't, so right now she has 4 dogs on site, right? Sometimes 5.
Yes, that's correct.
And so what happens if we deny this? Now, is she due back in court on Monday?
Yes,
18th.
Monday the 18th.
I would table to after that.
Well, no, we shouldn't table. The point is, because if so
This decision, I'm sorry, Steve. So court is for this decision on whether or not she gets to be allowed to keep the 4th dog, which her 4th dog is Niles because it's an additional dog to her 3. But also the condition of her keeping Niles is the secured fencing, which as of this morning, with my inspection along with Deputy Green, that fence is not secure. That those dogs can jump that fence. Those dogs are able to escape with ease. Her her backyard goes down, and if you're standing at the hill on the back of the fence, that fence is maybe 2 feet tall.
now,
So-
if Niles is not present, is there still a requirement to repair that fence?
Yes, because the fence is under the New York State Property Maintenance Code, and that is not in code. So for that fence, she can take the fence down, and then she's no longer in violation of that code.
But then I'm confused. But then the dogs would only have to be on leash. I'm confused.
That's correct. So they would physically have to be out there with their dogs. Niles would need to be on a leash or whichever other dog is out there. So removing the fence is only creating more problems. But having an unsecure fence is also a problem when they let the dogs out and nobody's paying attention or watching them. When my dogs
Gotcha.
are outside, I am with my dogs.
Okay. Anybody else have, any board members have questions for the dog control officer?
I personally don't like even applications to get 4 dogs. I always think we're open to Pandora's box. I make a motion, we deny special use permit number 2025-023.
I'll second. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember Page,
Aye.
Councilmember Belanca,
Aye.
Councilmember Barley,
Aye.
Councilmember Stafford,
Aye.
Supervisor Schultz.
Aye. Yeah, right. So Jamie, I'm not sure what the next steps are for Ms. Phillips in terms of rectifying the situation that she has too many dogs on site, and she also, to my knowledge, has an unlicensed dog on property as well, Cece.
Yes, I have no documentation of the dog Cece, and it has been there since the beginning of June. All dogs in New York State, whether or not they live here, if they reside in New York State for over 30 days, they need to be licensed with the town they are staying at. And as of my knowledge, her house is the only place where that dog is staying unless she can provide proof of otherwise.
And then how long does she have to rectify the situation to get down to 3 dogs?
Which situation?
Right now, doesn't she have 4 dogs on property?
She does, 4 licensed dogs and possibly a 5th dog who is not licensed, who I have witnessed there as well as the neighbors.
Right. My question is, now that her special use permit has been denied to have more than 3 dogs, how long does she have to be in compliance?
I would say immediately, since she's had over a year to do all of the other things she's been asked to do but have refused to do so.
Would by the August 18th court date be sufficient to show in court that she's compliant?
I would say that would be a great date because Judge Cook is going to want to know the outcome of tonight's meeting.
Okay. So Ms. Phillips, assuming you're still on, you have until your court date to be in compliance, down to 3 dogs. And again, if Cece is still on site, to either license that dog or provide evidence that it's already licensed in New York State. I understand someone noted that that's 4. I understand, but my point is it still has to be licensed. It would still have to go, even if it goes somewhere else in town, if she has a relative who can take it or a friend who can take it, it still needs to be licensed. The fence, she can either fix the fence or she can, when she puts dogs out, put them on a lead, or be out there with them. But if the dogs are going to be outside unattended, then the fence needs to be secure. Any other questions?
No.
I'm sorry, it's not the decision you wanted, but there's just been too many issues. Right. Closing out special use permit application number 2025-023, Alicia Phillips, 20 Academy Drive, to have more than 3 dogs. That application is denied.
Okay, just so everyone's clear, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Just so we're clear, it'll be the 13-year-old that's now is here. So it'll be the 13-year-old that needs to be used.
You need to, like I said, that's something you should,
Okay,
deal with.
Okay.
You're gonna be in court on the 18th, so just
Yes.
make that clear when you're at court, okay?
thank you.
Thank you, have a good day.
Bye-bye, you too.
Bye. Okay, before we go to the other resolutions, let's do the presentation. And, thank you to, whomever, was it you, Craig, or multiple people? Becky, thank you, Becky, for preparing this, on short order. Totally, I've been really busy with a lot of stuff. And we, yeah, we're all signed,
Okay,
so.
there's so much going on.
I know.
Sure.
Oh, you didn't have your fob? Did you want to use the inside one?
Yeah, I know, it's crazy.
We don't have a ton of resolutions, so hopefully from here on out, it can go pretty quickly.
What was Dan?
All right, Mike, you're up.
Okay, bear with me for 1 second while my screen comes back up.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Mr. Supervisor and fellow board members, I have resolution 14-283, 2025.
To approve or ratify the
Yep.
following agreements.
I'm getting there, thank you. Yep,
I was trying to help.
to approve and or ratify the following agreements.
Second,
Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember Page,
Aye.
Councilmember Belanca.
Aye.
Councilmember Barley,
aye,
Councilmember Stafford,
Aye.
Supervisor Schultz.
Aye.
Supervisor Schultz and fellow board members, I have resolution 14-274, 2025 to authorize bills payable and to any associated contracts or agreements for July 25th, 2025 through today, August 13th, 2025.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none. Oh, actually, before I do that, I was just pulling it up. I'd just like to note when there's, for the bills payable, some of the large ticket items, 444,000 was for paving and street repairs. 247,000 is for, our sewer slip lining projects. The 115,000 is for the town's portion of the health insurance premiums, and 39,000 was a vehicle for the fire marshal, new vehicle for the fire marshal. So now I'll say, hearing no further comments, Please call the roll.
Councilmember Page,
Aye.
Councilmember Belanca,
Aye.
Councilmember Barley,
Aye.
Councilmember Stafford,
Aye.
Supervisor Schultz.
Aye.
Supervisor Schultz and fellow board members, I have resolution number 14-285/2025 to authorize the advertisement of bids for the Henrietta Dog Shelter Project.
Seconded.
So the bid package will be ready a week from today at the town clerk's office, and the responses have to be in by Monday, September 22nd. For those who are unaware, the town received a grant to build a new dog shelter to meet the new requirements that the state put out. So this is not quite an unfunded mandate from the state. The changes to the dog shelters were significant, and there's no way we could have afforded that without the grant. So I will also note that we are going in on this together with the town of Rush, who will be contributing a portion of the capital expenses, the remaining capital expenses, and then we'll also be helping in terms of they'll be bringing their dogs here and helping feed when they're in here. And we have a similar arrangement that hasn't been fully approved by the town of Wheatland. They've agreed in principle, but they haven't fully passed that yet. I'm not 100% certain what they're waiting on, but whether we do or don't have, since it's done pro rata by population, our population dwarfs there, so it's not a huge impact. Because we got the grant, it's not a huge impact as to if Wheatland does ultimately decides not to sign on. As their supervisor points out, they'd be crazy not to, because there's no way they could afford to build a compliant shelter themselves. And in this part of town, there aren't many. Basically, COVID wiped out a lot of between COVID and the buying up of private veterinarian practices, especially ones that were struggling because of COVID. You're hard pressed to find the private practices that house dogs like we used to use. So that's why we switched. There's again, all of the ones we used to use, they're all closed, either closed or they no longer accept dogs. So that's why we built our own shelter. And now we have to build a new one per the state specs. So any other questions, comments? Hearing and seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember Page,
Aye.
Councilmember Belanca,
Aye.
Councilmember Barley,
Aye.
Councilmember Stafford,
Aye.
Supervisor Schultz.
Aye.
Mr. Supervisor and fellow board members, I have resolution number 14-286/2025 to accept a letter of credit for the Lehigh Ridge subdivision, section 2.
Second. So I'll note, it's not here in the resolution, but it is in the plans, and the developer is aware of it. In order to get past if you're not aware, any development with more than 30 homes needs a secondary entrance, or all of the homes need to be sprinklered. Since these homes are not all sprinklered, they will need a second entrance. The fire marshal has the authority to allow a temporary entrance as long as there is a reasonable expectation that the permanent entrance will be put in. What that means right now, the emergency vehicles can use either the stone access out from East Henrietta Road or the VA stone access coming in from Authors. However, the developer is required to pave that at least with a binder coat prior to November 1st. If they do not, we will draw down from this letter of credit and do it to make sure it is paved, because you have to have those emergency accesses have to be plowed so that fire trucks and ambulances can get through. It's not a good idea to plow stone roads. It doesn't, especially essentially the base stone. It's like if you build a stone road that's supposed to be stone. It's built very differently than that base that they first put down. So there will be an access, or there will be before the snow flies. Well, hopefully we don't get snow before November 1st.
Right.
But there will be a paved secondary access because this does put them over the 30 homes.
Mhm.
Any other questions?
Very good.
Please call the roll.
Councilmember Page,
Aye.
Councilmember Belanca,
Aye.
Councilmember Barley,
Aye.
Councilmember Stafford,
Aye.
Supervisor Schultz.
Aye. Fellow board members, I have resolution 14-287, 2025 to authorize an extension of special use permit application numbers 2023-024 and 045 for the West Sunset Estates Senior Housing Project located on West Henrietta Road.
Second.
I'll just note that part of their delay in the first place was they were willing to work with the one neighbor who wanted a bit more space. They looked at a number of alternatives. There were some minor modifications of the plan made, but some of what he was asking was going to put too much impact on the other neighbor. So we actually brought her in and explained it all to her, the request he wanted. She agreed it was too much of an impact on her property. So those ones weren't made, but that delayed the start of their construction. I'm not 100% certain why this hasn't moved forward since then, because that was about 6 months ago, but it is moving forward, just not at the pace that a lot of these projects do. So they need an extension.
Are they still planning on doing this project?
They are.
Then why did they list it for sale?
I don't know.
I'm hoping the applicant's here. I'm hoping he's online because I asked.
I don't know that the applicant is online.
Okay.
Is there any?
We do have a representative from West
Oh, we
Sunset
do?
line.
Good.
Could you introduce yourself? And you said we do have an representative?
We do. They don't seem, oh, there we go.
Hello, hi, this
Hello.
is, this is Bob Winans. I'm the project engineer. I work with Land Tech. So I'm the one that's working on getting the project approved, and we are still moving forwards with the approvals. We've gone through all the county agencies, Pure Waters Health Department, Monroe County Water Authority. Just met with the town building department, fire marshal to address any concerns they had. We also have plans into the DOT for the access permit for the driveway. And I know the contractor is out pricing things now. So, I guess I'm not aware that it was up for sale. I'm just a engineer. So we're just moving forwards with the site plans.
So I just, when I read the letter that you sent to the town, it made it sound like there was issues with the town and the county. What has taken 18 months to clear up? I mean, this is very unusual
well, like I said, the first.
I'd like to hear from him.
Yeah, well, first of all, just to get into the detail as for the building details and all that good stuff, and to work out the site plans, it took our office probably 6 months. We had to get this special permit first to make sure we had a project. And then as we move forwards with all the other detailed topographic things, the site design, and move forwards with that, we also had to go through the New York State DEC renewed or changed their state stormwater regulations in January 2025. So we had to adjust all the stormwater calculations to meet their approval. So it is a process. And like I listed off all the agencies. So it just typically a project of this size, it does take a good year or so to get it approved.
Well, I can say we've done a lot of projects and it's it's unusual that we have 2 extensions. It's unusual that it's not unheard of that we have 1, but it is unusual we have 2.
It's not unheard of. We have 2.
I mean, it's unusual we have 2.
Okay.
So, okay, and then obviously, I wasn't for this project. I didn't think it fit the neighborhood, the area, to begin with. And then when I see that it went up for sale on June 26th for $1.2 million, and you said you're unaware that it's for sale?
That's
He's
correct.
not the
That's
property
correct.
Right, I'm just asking if he was unaware.
That's
Was
correct. Yes.
He said that's correct.
Okay, I couldn't hear. Do you know if they even have funding for this project?
I am not aware.
Okay, thank you. I'm done.
Any other comments?
Just if it's for sale, it's unusual that they would, extend it and then have it up for sale. I don't have any.
No, it's not. I will say while it's not common, it's also not uncommon that developers sell projects to other builders.
Right.
If they take on something new, they will sometimes find someone who wants to take over a project. So that's not unheard of at all.
Well, I've never had that happen while I was on the board, to be quite honest, so it's unusual to me.
Or you just may not have been aware of it.
Or maybe I wasn't aware.
Right.
I've seen projects get built and then they sold it and made money on it, but I've never seen it like this. So it is unusual to me.
Okay. Any other comments? Anything from the public or online? Hearing and seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember Page,
Aye.
Councilmember Belanca,
Aye.
Councilmember Barley,
Aye.
Councilmember Stafford,
No.
Supervisor Schultz.
Aye. Mike?
Mr. Supervisor and fellow board members, I have resolution 14-288, 2025, to declare items surplus materials from the engineering department, the buildings and grounds maintenance department, and the Henrietta Library, public library.
Second.
Any discussions? Hearing and seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember Page,
Aye.
Councilmember Belanca,
Aye.
Councilmember Barley,
Aye.
Councilmember Stafford,
Aye.
Supervisor Schultz.
Aye.
Fellow board members, I have resolution 14-289, 2025, to authorize the installation of a stop sign at Nevins and Wallman Drive.
Second.
So this stop sign would be on the northbound traffic coming out of the new development. There is currently a stop sign on the westbound Wallman direction. There is not currently a stop sign southbound Nevins, and that's because it comes into one of those big knuckles. It would be confusing as to where to stop. But what we're seeing is some people are coming out of the new development a little too fast for the neighborhood. So we're putting in a stop sign there. And we will probably, if we see issues with them running the stop sign, that'll probably be a good spot for Deputy Green to hang out in that knuckle. When the new connection to authors go in, we'll probably authorize one. Same thing for the northbound authors. To have people stop coming when the problem is they're coming under those 300 feet of power lines.
Right.
There's nothing on either side, so they tend to accelerate.
Yep.
Unfortunately. Any other questions, comments? Hearing and seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember Page,
Aye.
Councilmember Belanca,
Aye.
Councilmember Barley,
Aye.
Councilmember Stafford,
Aye.
Supervisor Schultz.
Aye.
Mr. Supervisor and fellow board members, I have resolution number 14-290/2025 to authorize placement of delinquent sewer bills on the 2026 combined town and county tax rules.
Seconded.
Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember Page,
Aye.
Councilmember Belanca,
Aye.
Councilmember Barley,
Aye.
Councilmember Stafford.
Aye.
Supervisor Schultz.
Aye.
Mr. Supervisor and fellow board members, I have resolution number 14-291/2025 to make appropriate budget transfers and adjustments to the 2025 adopted budget.
Second. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember Page,
Aye.
Councilmember Belanca,
Aye.
Councilmember Barley,
Aye.
Councilmember Stafford.
Aye.
Supervisor Schultz.
Aye. Fellow board members, I have resolution 14-292/2025 to hire personnel and make the attached changes.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember Page,
Aye.
Councilmember Belanca,
Aye.
Councilmember Barley,
Aye.
Councilmember Stafford.
Aye.
Supervisor Schultz.
Aye.
Mr. Supervisor and fellow board members, I have resolution 14-293/2025 to authorize the supervisor to sign a sales contract to purchase the Dome Arena if the town receives funding through the New York State Bricks Grant.
Second.
So we're going to, I'm going to want to propose a modification to this resolution, but before that, I'm going to bring up some, let me rephrase that. I'm going to ask Becky to bring up some presentations. Becky, could you bring up the one that is, let's see, it's labeled floor plans. I'll start there.
I've seen this.
Okay. Okay, so this is looking at Minette Hall. And basically to the right is the entry hall that's in between the Dome Arena and Minette Hall, and to the left, there was a addition to Minette Hall. It's a little bit taller than the rest of Minette Hall. That's actually a storage area. That's where chairs, tables, sports equipment, all sorts of stuff is stored there. What we're looking to do with this, with the idea of this is to, for a town our size, one of the things we're lacking is a community center. In addition, we've run into resource contention at our recreation space. And so what we're looking to do is acquire the Dome Arena and have available there for then additional recreation space, community center space, as well as event space. And that, so the Dome Arena side will stay largely as is. We're putting in some additional security stuff there. But the idea is that was, no, I don't have the Dome Arena on here, Becky. But it's staying largely as is, with the idea being it would be then available as a point of distribution, you know, so like what happened during COVID, or if we ever have a hepatitis outbreak and have to do a distribution there. It could be a emergency congregation site for the high school. God forbid there was ever an incident there and that they needed to evacuate. We would probably work with the Monroe County Emergency Management team to have the Dome replace our high school as one of the, I don't remember how many, it's about a half dozen congregation sites for Ginna nuclear plant. So if there was an evacuation for Ginna, a portion of the population actually goes to our high school, which obviously could be an issue if the high school is currently in session. So that's some of what we're looking to do with the Dome. what we would probably do to help offset operating costs is we would reach out to an event planner to basically bring in concerts or other events. The way I would do it, we would not, they basically work for a portion of the take. They wouldn't be a town employee. It would be somebody who does this for a living. And basically what they would do is they would bring in the events, we would get the rent, and they would get a portion of the take for that event. That way, we're not paying somebody for nothing. They're essentially it also makes them a bit hungrier because they're only getting paid if they bring stuff in. If we did that, we would go out to bid to select that company. In Minette Hall, we're looking at that it's Minette Hall, the main floor is about 24,000 square feet. The first 8,000 is a community space. We've got in there, and again, these are preliminary plans. We bring in, if we get the grant, we would bring in an architect to firm this up. But basically, there's 14 offices on there, and these offices are for community organizations. So organizations like RHAA, RAFT, the Legion, Kiwanis, not necessarily Legion because they have their own space, but for Rotary Club, for these clubs that currently, as well as community organizations like the Nepali, Bhutanese, Vietnamese, we have a lot of community organizations that currently don't have a good option in terms of space. As part of the grant, so this is it's called New York Bricks Grant. We'd be applying for roughly just under $14 million from the state. I take it back. From the state, that's the total project cost. So from the state, it would be about 11 to 12 million from the state. That basically what we would do is under that grant, these community spaces would be free to registered community organizations. That's part of the idea of the grant, because a lot of these organizations struggle to make ends meet. Another one I just thought, the Henrietta Foundation. We have a lot of these organizations that do stuff for the town, but don't really have a good place. They don't have their own offices. And so a lot of times stuff stays in members' houses. And then they don't have a lot of places to meet. So in addition to the 14 offices, we're looking at 2 conference rooms and then 4 multi-purpose rooms. And so those could either be meeting rooms, larger meeting rooms if they're holding an event, and or they could also be used for recreation type classes. The center area, the center 8,000 is pickleball and floor hockey. So the dome actually has the boards there. There used to be an ice rink in Minette Hall years and years ago. No, we're not looking to bring that back. I'm sure the compressor is long gone or probably has trees growing through it based on the state of some of the stuff outside. We're looking to put in floor hockey. It would include a sports floor. So the grant includes the addition of a sports floor. And then what we would do is stripe the center of it with 3 pickleball courts. And again, this would be sports courts flooring. It was funny when I stopped into the rec center, they said, "Oh, if you're getting the dome, we don't want to move over there." And the reason is when they temporarily had pickleball over there, they were playing on concrete, not a good surface. This would be as good, if not better surface than what we currently have at our rec center. And then the idea is, it's the same number of courts that we currently have at the rec center. We could continue to have courts at the rec center, but the big difference here is at the rec center, they're competing with basketball and volleyball and pretty much every other activity. Here, they would only be competing with floor hockey and indoor soccer. So there'd be a lot more times available for pickleball players. And the other advantage too, by being inside that rink, if there's pass shot, it hits the boards. It doesn't travel and get under the bleachers or go under the curtains and into the next court. So, and then the purple area, that's gymnastics. Over the past 7 or 8 years, the gymnastics participation has doubled. We've also taken on the Special Olympics gymnastics program for the region. And so if you ever go over there and look, they are packed to the gills. They're constantly having to turn people away. You know, our recreation department's gymnastics program is second to none. People from all over the region want to sign up here. We could have more classes if we had this space. And so what we're looking to do is not quite double, but close to double the amount of the current space. The other issue that they've got right now is that the kids, the youth, and I'll call them advanced gymnasts, share the same space. And the problem with that is these little kids get very excited and want to go running towards those gymnasts. And if they're in the middle of a tumble track or a floor exercise, that creates a dangerous situation. So the idea is we would separate the two areas. So what you're seeing here is the youth area and the two rooms at the bottom. One of them would be so one of the programs they started was a Ninja Warrior type program for kids who would, that's how they want to do their gymnastics is as Ninja Warriors. And so the idea is we put that in a room, and the reason being, in addition to be able to run classes simultaneously, we get a lot of requests to have host birthday parties there. The challenge is I can't do that today because it's not in a separate space. And so I shouldn't say they can't do it today. There's like 1 day a week where they can do that. So this would open up that possibility a lot greater. Next slide. And so what you're looking at, this is then moving up. This was at the north end of the building. We would actually be adding an 8,000 square foot space for the advanced gymnasts. And the reason is Manette Hall's ceiling goes from about 10 feet to 14 feet. That's not high enough for the teens and adult gymnasts. You know, if they're swinging on that high bar, they need much higher clearance. And so we would add this on. It would be directly to the north of the building. There's a ton of space there right now. It's a gravel area. Back in the fairground days, I think it was where some of the livestock trailers used to pull in. In fact, if you go in Manette Hall, you'll still see the livestock rings lining the walls. But what we would do also is have a dedicated gymnastics entrance there, and there'd be a dedicated gymnastics parking lot so they could come in. Essentially to the right would be the advanced gymnastics, to the left would be the youth. Next slide. And so this is the overall total space, just showing it all together. Some of the hallways, what you see is off to the left, as I mentioned, that's that storage building. So we want to make sure if we have to bring the large, there's basically a forklift to bring, if we're bringing large bundles of chairs into the, let's say you're setting up something and having a floor seating in the dome, that's to be able to get all the stuff over there. Okay, can you bring up the current conditions? Okay, so this is the main entrance. I'm going to step through these pretty quickly. Go ahead. This is the main lobby that you come in. So this would both be the entrance. You know, if we were having a large events, off to the right are ticket booths. There's even some off to the left as well. If we're going to have a rec person on location, this is probably where they would be, is out here in the lobby. Next. This is the dome as seen from above the one set of seats. Currently, it's set up for lacrosse. In the sale agreements with the Roxbury Dome LLC, they have this lacrosse is under contract through May. And they don't want to leave them in the lurch, so they've asked, would you guys honor that contract through May? We said yes. From that, sometime in the spring, we could have discussions as to whether we want to keep that going or whether this would be the last season that they would be in there. As we talked about, let's say we get the grant, by the time all the grant stuff's done, the time the real estate stuff is all done, the transfers probably happen somewhere close to May. So it's not really an issue in that regards. Next. This is just looking from the floor. You can see it's a large area. They redid the roof. There's phenomenal soundproofing in there. They did went to all LED lights, redid the air conditioning out here. Next. That's just another view. Go ahead. Next. This is the entrance. There's I'll call it the dedicated dome entry or for the concessions area. Next. Just another view, and you can see at the far end are the concession counters. Next. So this is one of them. This is one of the areas where I mentioned additional security. Right now, they don't have an ability to block that off. I would want to block that off, and the reason is, go to next. This kitchen area, I would love to have discussions with Raft to see whether they'd like to relocate here from Baldwin Cabin because they're kind of cramped in their space. Next. This area has a large food pantry. Next. As well as large coolers and freezers. So it might make for a good location for Raft, and then we could take a look at if we do bring in events. I'd love to take a page out of the playbook of the Red Wings, who have community organizations who basically they serve the food. You'd have to have somebody with a food service license preparing the food, but these community organizations serve the food and they get a portion of the take, and it's a way for these community organizations to raise funds. Next. This is Minette Hall. As you can see, it's right now, it's just a large, big, empty space. Next. This is some of the stuff that's stored in there. Off to the left, you can see row after row of chairs, and to the right, there's row after row of tables. Those yellow things you see in the foreground, those are the covers. So like if you need power to a stage and you're bringing the cord across, is to ramp up and over the cords. Next. Oh, I forgot to mention the big white pile in the back, those were the boards. And then these are high-end pickleball netting. So the net's already there. Next. Oh, okay. So this is where we'd be building the addition. You can see the part that's slightly taller to the right. That's the storage area. The very next big garage door, that's where we would attach to the building, and we would probably just remove that garage door. That would be an opening into the new space. Next. I put this in jokingly. That's actually the new Highmark Stadium. That's not the dome. Next. So this is the dome. I like to put in stuff like that to make sure people are paying attention. So this is the dome from the back showing the new HVAC system that they put in. So that's only, I think it's less than 10 years old. You can also see they redid the roof. So, everything we've seen so far is in really good condition. But as the board members discussed, one of the changes we're going to put in here is that we're going to require the contract have an out. If we get the grant, we're going to do pay for an engineering inspection, a thorough engineering inspection. And if we find an issue with it, then it'll be a means to get out of the sale. Next. And then this is just, again, showing, you can see the condition of the beams, which those are the things that are kind of the flying buttress. They're actually the beams that hold up the dome. when this was built, it was one of the largest self-supported wood domes in the country. It was built, for those unaware, it was built in 1972. It doesn't have a historic designation, although I think it could. It certainly is iconic. And part of why we're looking to do this, in addition to needing the space, a lot of the private folks who talk about this want to knock it down, and I'd love to see it preserved and put to use. To give you a point of comparison, a neighboring town is looking to build a brand new community center they're going after over $30 million through the same grant program. So as I point out, we're getting in 100,000 square feet for about a third of that. Next. Oh, I think that's it. Last, if you want to bring up the budget, I think it's cost summary or something like that. So this is going to be a little tough to see, but basically this goes through. So the first section, the preliminary plans, are stuff that's already been done. Believe it or not, this is one of the few grants that you actually get to count that. The next section would be the planning and design if we were to get the grant, and that includes doing design for the HVAC and mechanical. So I will note that the HVAC for Minette Hall, it did have some at one time. It's dead. You go outside, there's literally trees growing through the HVAC equipment out there, and half of them, they're like disconnected from the vents. So this includes a quote to do all the MEP design for the building, as well as we have budgetary estimates of what that equipment would cost. Where we came up, go ahead and scroll down so we can get to the construction portion. So that's the property acquisition. The sale price that he's offering it. So we did have an appraisal done that the property came in at 7 million, and the FF&E, they did not update the appraisal for the FF&E. We just didn't have enough time to get that done. But a recent appraisal had all the equipment inside, furniture, fixings, and equipment. If you don't know FF&E, that was 1.3 million. Roxbury has offered it to the town at 7.8. So roughly not quite half of what the FF&E is. And then basically, the addition, if you look at it, it's essentially a large open space, very similar to what we built for the sewer garage. So rather than get an estimate, I used actual cost for the sewer garage. Now, then what we did is that sewer garage is 25% larger than this building would be. However, costs have gone up by roughly 25%. So I'm using the actual cost that it took us to build the sewer and drainage garage. The one thing I did was subtract out the HVAC, because there wasn't air conditioning. There's these massive blowers because there's trucks that pull into the sewer garage. So you have to deal with all the vehicle exhaust. But there's no air conditioning other than a little one in the office. So I took that number, subtracted out that HVAC, and added in the estimate from EC4B. And then if you see one that's in italics, I don't have the hard quotes yet back. So we've still got a couple more to come by, but I feel pretty confident in terms of the overall area. Go ahead and continue to scroll down. Some of the work there is in kind. especially because we'd be resurfacing all of the parking lots. Keep going to the summary. So basically, of the total, just under 14 million costs, the cost to the town would be about 2.7. And to be honest, this is the only part that gives us a little bit of pause. And just to give you an idea, so last year, at the end of the year, we had essentially a surplus fund balance over contingency of about $7 million. We applied 4.5 million of that to keep taxes down, and that's a typical number. Would be about the ballpark we'd be looking to do the following year, which essentially leaves us 3.5 million, or excuse me, 2.5 million left. So the cannabis has been on the increase. Although we did account for, we had about 400,000, I think, in there for cannabis for this year budget, because at the time we didn't really have much in the way of results. We basically only had the first 2 quarters, which were the lowest. Last year, cannabis came in around $1 million. This year, the first payment we got was down 41%, but that payment was in error. I went out to our 2 largest retailers, and their quarter was one of the highest ever. So I've been working with the Office of Cannabis Management in the County of Monroe to find out why we were shortchanged. I did get a notice from Office of Cannabis Management that a correction was sent to the county, but I still haven't seen the corrected number. But when I do that calculation, it's equal to or greater than what the final quarter was last year. So if we had 4 quarters of that, it would be significantly higher. It'd be about 1.5 million. So, you know, the issue we're talking about is, so we can't afford to do it. We'd also be looking at that we have some potential sources of private money for this. So one of the things we've talked about, the western portion of that parcel is all gravel. That's where they used to have all the fairground rides and such. We've talked about selling that. Well, actually, we wouldn't even sell it. When we make the purchase, we would have Cornerstone Group has agreed to go in on us with the purchase to acquire that to build affordable housing. The final price is kind of dependent on another contract. So they that we're looking to extend Fair Avenue. That's a pro housing community support grant. As I put it, we're the pro housing is. So I have a strong degree of confidence that we will get that one, in which case their contribution could be as much as $1 million, in which case now we're down to 1.7. Even if we have a slowdown in the economy, we should have plenty for that. Worst case scenario, if we didn't, we would have to, you know, potentially look at, do we take out a $1 million bond or something like that to make up the difference? But I don't think we will have to, but I just mentioned that because I don't want people to say, oh, you never mentioned. Okay, we did. You know, but like I said, that's kind of that portion right there is the biggest concern we have. With that said, to get 100,000 square foot of additional recreation space, center space, and event space for 2.7 million. By comparison, our current rec center was 10 million, and that was in 2016 dollars. And our library was 12.5 million, and that was in 2019 dollars. So it's actually like I said, from a value standpoint, it's pretty high up. So I just wanted to present that, put it all on the table, and let the discussion begin.
Steve, I just wanted a clarification. When you said Cornerstone affordable housing, that was affordable senior housing, correct?
So that is going to depend on we don't have a ruling from New York State yet. That's what we want to do, is affordable senior. And what I mean by I don't have a ruling yet, the the grant that we applied for to extend Fair Avenue, they basically said it is eligible for affordable housing. It's not eligible for student or senior housing. I said, well, what if it's affordable senior? They said, oh, I don't know. With that also said, if we have since gotten a letter of commitment from that from two different developers who would try to build the affordable housing, or excuse me, to build market rate of housing on the property to the south. That would meet the requirements, in which case it doesn't matter what, even if they ultimately rule that affordable senior doesn't qualify, we could still go affordable senior because the other development will meet that requirement. So the only reason it would be affordable as opposed to affordable senior is because we don't have the other folks in time. Okay. But the plan currently is that it would be affordable senior. And then, as part of this, then, like I said, the two are kind of tied together. If you look at a lot of the letters of support, they reference the two projects together because, as I mentioned, our plan is to extend Fair Avenue to the south and east and out to East Henrietta Road across from Valiant. Included in that grant application is the cost to put in a traffic light at each end of the street. Right now, a lot of people coming out of the Fairview Apartments snake through the parking lot of the Dome to get out to East Henrietta Road. I'm not a huge fan of that exit there for a high volume daily traffic. I would much prefer it come out further south, and especially if we can get a traffic light there. So ultimately, the decision as to whether we have a traffic light there would be up to the New York State DOT. But if you add up all the housing in that area, you're looking at about 900 units. There's about 400 existing units, and we'd be adding another, potentially as many as another 500. So that probably would warrant the traffic light. So any other questions? Anything from the public?
We are going to get the language we suggested in the.
Yeah, so let me work on how I want to basically, I think I'm just going to add conditions. So we'll basically approve with the following conditions. One, that language is added to the sales contract enabling the town to void the contract if an engineering inspection reveals significant structural issues per the town's discretion.
It's a and/or.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say. Void or either.
Yes, to void the contract or modify the sales price. I can put solely per the town's discretion. So it would be, condition one is that language is added to the sales contract enabling the town to void the contract or modify the sales price if an engineering inspection reveals significant structural issues solely per the town's discretion. So it's our solely our determination as to whether we consider it significant and which route we want to take.
We said the town is at the town board.
We can put that town board. Did we have any other conditions?
We talked about.
It's already based on the condition that it be awarded.
I know we talked about personal items.
Oh, yeah, that.
Yeah,
Yes, that's right. Thank you, Dan and Rob. Yeah, that the sales contract. Is that a schedule? Oh.
Is that right?
List.
Everything on that list?
What's that?
Is everything on that list?
That's the point. He hasn't really compiled the list yet. There's no way he could get it done before we have to turn it in. But basically that the sales contract exhibit B list the substantial items in the facilities. Exhibit A2, okay. Currently installed or currently installed. Well, actually installed, it's considered real property, right? So it would just be stored. What it does is that the sales contract exhibit A2 lists the substantial items currently stored in the facilities and included, and that those items are included in the purchase price. And then should we do a 3 that it's subject to final approval by the town attorney?
The items included, the truck rate is gonna.
I want the forklift, yeah.
Not a doubt.
Okay, any others? Okay, fellow board members, I make a resolution to amend, or excuse me, I make a motion to amend resolution 14-293, 2025 to append to the resolve clause with the following conditions. 1, that language is added to the sales contract enabling the town to void the contract or modify the sales price if an engineering inspection reveals significant structural issues solely per the town board's discretion. 2, that the sales contract exhibit A2 lists the substantial items currently stored in the facilities and that those items are included in the purchase price. It's just to be clear, it's our understanding that that's the case. We just want it written in the sales contract. 3, that the final agreement is subject to approval by the town attorney.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll to amend the resolution.
Councilmember Page,
Aye.
Councilmember Belanca,
Aye.
Councilmember Barley,
Aye.
Councilmember Stafford,
Aye.
Supervisor Schultz.
Aye. So we are now voting on the amended resolution. Any further discussions? Anything from the public? And hearing and seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember Page,
Steve, I applaud your planning, and the project definitely is an excellent project. I was the one who voted no on the proposal. I'm still concerned about the long-term downstream costs and the effect it'll have on future budgets, so I'm going to say no.
Councilmember Belanca,
Aye.
Councilmember Barley,
Aye.
Councilmember Stafford,
Aye.
Supervisor Schultz.
Aye. That concludes our resolutions. Do we have any committee or miscellaneous reports from the board?
I attended the school board meeting last night where they presented the 2025-26 budget proposal. They also presented the proposed tax rate increase and amount to the budget. And I requested that they have a new financial person for Andy Whitmore. So I requested through Scott and the board that as soon as they could get those numbers to you as soon as possible, as we're working on our budget as well. But other than that, it was a good meeting, and they're ready to open school.
Yep, one of the things I'll note, normally the increase has been 2% or lower. This year it was higher, and part of that was because unfortunately, this is the last year that they can buy fossil fuel powered buses. I think people have heard me say before, I don't agree with our governor's push. I think she's putting the cart way out in front of the horse. If they had to put electric buses on tomorrow, they couldn't, because there is not enough power in that portion of Henrietta to put charging stations with sufficient amperage to charge school buses. In addition, roughly 60% of our bus routes are too long for the range of an electric school bus. The technology just isn't there. And more to the point, our electrical grid just isn't there. I believe that should have been done by incentives, not by mandates. So as much as the larger increase is going to be painful, I absolutely understand why they had to do it. So they basically bought more buses than normal, so that the good news is they won't have to buy those additional buses next year. Or let me phrase it, the following year. Tough decision. I spoke with Andy Whitmore about it a lot, and he anguished over it, but it was absolutely the right decision, because if you then have to go to the buses, that can't complete those routes, now I need more buses, I need more drivers. I've significantly increased my cost, not to mention the electric buses, by the way, are 2 to 3 times the cost of their fossil fuel equivalents. So again, it's really premature, and unfortunately, Albany is kind of forcing that. So I want to say that in support of the school, because they are usually quite responsible with regards to their increases. Other.
Oh, yeah, I met with the Library Board of Trustees last week. They passed their proposed 2026 budget. We'll get a chance to review that come budget time ourselves.
Last night I was at the fire district meeting. At that meeting, they swore in 8 new career firefighters. There's an additional 1 coming in via transfer from another district on Monday. Currently, they have 80 career folks working for the fire department, for the fire district, and 52 volunteers. So 4 career firefighters have retired this year or last. There are 4 new volunteers that were sworn in this year. There are 8 additional volunteers being trained, but seven have left this year also. So it's kind of a wash on volunteers. With the Fisher Fire District being dissolved in Fisher for about the next 18 months, Henrietta is going to be picking up about an additional 1.7 miles of the New York State Thruway. They'll be responding to calls for like I said, 1.7 miles.
Are they getting any additional revenue?
Yes, they get some money. They said the formula is a tough formula to figure out, but yes, they do get some additional money from
The Marin Ryan Act?
that. So yeah. District's been busy. They had about 300 additional calls this year over last year so far. A couple of matter of fact, just in the last couple of weeks, they've had to, the mutual aid, they've had to go into the city and watch some firehouses, like for the Tent City fire 2 weeks ago. And then yesterday they had, in the city, they had a couple of big fires. They had to go over to South Avenue. Station 2 is looking into grave markers that Joe brought up to me. So they are working on that currently. So hopefully we have some answers, but thank you. I asked the question and got a digital response last night. They are also going to equip for any of the firefighters, volunteers, or career. They're going to equip anyone who wants a basically an emergency bag that has life-saving equipment in it, mainly like stop leads and stuff, so they can have it with them anytime, anytime they're out. Most of those guys are always on call, basically. If they see something, they usually stop and will help. So they have these emergency bags that was approved last night also. Also the zoning board, last month, they approved some reduced parking spots for the new apartments going in on Fair Avenue that were approved. They went for variance to get that reduced. One of the concerns, one of the board members asked the representative if the developers were worried about overflow parking from town using their lot. I'm more worried about, my concern is just the opposite. I don't believe they will have enough spots for the size of that unit, but wasn't my decision. So they went from a required 192 spots to down to 163. I just want to make it known that you can't always park on the street out there, and and I wouldn't think we would have let them use our lot at the library. So I want to make sure that we make them fully aware of that. And then at the zoning board, this month, one of the discussion is, we always have requests for larger sheds, and some of them have been extremely big. And so they are looking into, they're looking at that, I think, more stringent now to not let huge sheds in.
If they have recommendations for potential code changes, just let them know to get that to
Yep. So, I mean, I went over and looked at a shed, and it was 192 square feet. It would have fit my lot. My lot would have taken that lot, or that size shed. And it was absolutely huge. When I showed it to my wife, she said, "What are you going to do? Live in this thing? It's way too big." And it's what's that?
He said maybe if you don't start behaving.
Yeah, or wishful thinking on her part. But anyways, yeah, I have a half-acre lot, and it was more than enough. And a lot of these folks with a lot smaller lot are asking for bigger sheds than that even. So
Apparently, Mr. Stafford, you don't have much junk as they have to store.
I wouldn't say that, but
Yeah,
anyway,
it
that's,
seems like storage facilities and car washes are going in everywhere because we have too much stuff and people don't know where to put it anymore.
well, and it just brings me to another quick point. When I looked at this shed, it was over at Marketplace where they had all those sheds. And just so, they basically had I was told by, I'm not sure what he was, the salesman, owner, whatever, that they were giving them 30-day notice to get out of there, even though they had a lease until November. They had each side had the option to, and so Marketplace supposedly chose the option to get rid of them in August.
I only have one thing. In our DEI committee meeting, diversity, equity, and inclusion, Captain Fay was nice enough to come by and explain some things to the committee and take time out of his busy schedule. And also, looking at the dome and all the space we might have there if this BRICS grant goes through, the diversity committee was looking for a different space to have their meetings because we only meet downstairs, and that would be a great way to have other committees in our town have other space too. So, and that's it.
Yeah, I will just note that one of the things, as people are aware, ICE has been ramping up. Sometimes the local authorities get notified in advance, sometimes they do not, sometimes they get called in to assist. In general, the assist tends to be more for people who not only have a ICE or border violation, but who are also have a violent offense, as far as where the sheriffs stand on that. But I certainly wouldn't want to be in their shoes right now with what's happening at a national level.
Yeah, Captain Fay actually explained that, they're not working with ICE, but if there's a criminal thing going on, they have to do their job.
Right.
But other than that, they don't have any knowledge of what's going on with ICE until after it's happened.
I have a question. Is Chapman Corners completed?
No, no, it's not. It has not been completed. No, I haven't. So they're supposed to be installing the play sets at some point. They are working on the bathroom. One of the things they're doing too, though, is they're running. So I don't know if it's torn up because they were running the utilities to the bathroom.
No, I didn't feel it was torn up. I just didn't think it was anywhere near completed.
It's not near complete. There were a couple other projects that had hard deadlines that kind of took priority. We've also been having problems with electrical hookup and water hookup. Both of those, RG&E and Monroe County Water Authority, have long lead times. So,
well, being that you brought that up, brought me to the church was requesting that someone cut the bushes by Chapman. They've been cutting it. They said since we don't own it anymore, they wanted to make sure someone got out to cut the bushes.
yeah, if you could ask them to send me an email with the details, because I just want to make sure, I don't want our crews cutting bushes that aren't part of that project or part of that park.
Will do.
So we'll have our grounds folks go out and meet with them just to make sure, I want to be able to schedule time for our grounds folks to meet with them to make sure we're maintaining the property.
All right, I'll get it set up.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Do we have any comments or discussion items from the public? And hearing and seeing none, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Hearing no objection.